Right, that's it.
And I gotta plug my gentleman's club, and some people to the world know it as a strip club. Yes, I have a strip club, and we understand a nightclub come and go. I say before I'm a businessman, and we all of us in here is grown. The name of my club is Girl Collection, and there's 3 things we know: ass, titties, and pussy will never play out. Not saying that it's a whole house. We're not saying that. We run a legitimate, honest business, and within how many weeks, Ron? 2 or 3 weeks we'll be open. And when y'all come to the fights in Vegas, swing on through.
Welcome back to the next big pod. I don't know what episode number we are now, but what episode 89 is it? 90, something like that. Anyway, fuck that. Let's get straight into it. We're gonna give you a 2-for-1 this week because we're gonna go through the Eubank stuff, and then because some of us went to Vegas last week, we never got a chance to do a pod, so we go through Mikey Garcia and we'd do Carl and Leo Santa Cruz as well. So you're in for a treat. Dewey, you paid for that shite on the weekend, so do you want to give a rundown of what you thought of it, mate?
What a wee Welsh bastard.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that, Dewey. Explain yourself why you paid for it as well, because I'm disappointed in you.
You know, see, before he explains himself, like, the worst it is, Dewey is probably the tightest man in Europe, but he fucking part with 10 quid for his buy this fucking shit.
Alright, Brian, the only person who told you I'm the tightest man ever is the person with the worst gambling habit I've ever encountered in my life. So, I rest easy with that. I bought it simply, and I haven't watched the main event. I don't plan on watching it. I had no interest in it prior to the fight. I'm not surprised at the result. I bought it for the undercard, specifically Andrew Selby, because I didn't want to watch the fight on a crappy stream. I'm obviously very interested in Andrew Selby's career. And was it worth £1 around? When I rationalise it like that, probably.
I'll tell you one thing. If Tommy Allen paid for £1 a round, man, he would have been lasting for 100 minutes, but he didn't.
That was my money, that as well.
He paid $100 for 30 seconds. Woof, woof, woof.
He paid $50 and 50 of my money. I'll never see again.
I'm bumped.
Right, Dewey, crack on.
The Selby fight, it was one of those, wasn't it? It's probably I'd say the 3rd opponent on the trot since he fought Louis Norman, where I think the opponent has realised very early that they can't win, and they kind of try and stick around, but they go in survival mode more than anything, and they tuck up when they need to, and he goes around. That's a 6-round stoppage, a 7-round stoppage, and 10-round points. So I suppose he's banking the rounds. Which you wondered whether he would very early in his career. Don't get me wrong, was still early in his career. But, overall, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You would have liked to have seen him stop Dial, or Dial, however you meant to say it, because he's been stopped 4 times before. But, I wouldn't read too much into that, to be honest. We didn't learn anything new about Selby. He got rounds in the bank. It's hard to describe him, isn't it? Because he does a little bit of everything, and he's so unorthodox in the way he moves. And onwards and upwards, the British Boxing Board of Control have ordered purse bids again for the Charlie Edwards fight, which we all know 100% won't happen because Edwards.
You've got fat chance and no chance of that one. So
yeah, Charlie Edwards is going to go whatever other way they're going to go. Interestingly, I didn't realise he'd vacated the WBC International, which is what Dial brought to the UK, and now Selby owns, which, don't get me wrong, it's a bum belt, but I thought they might have kept that, even though they were fighting for the IBF title. So yeah, he's in a situation now where he's still not going to be able to defend his British title. He's told me, and his management have told me, that they're not going to vacate it because they'd quite willingly defend it if they had a challenger. So we're just waiting around for him to build up through the rankings. That's the 2nd governing body he'll be ranked with. I think he's like 12th with the IBF, and he holds the IBF Intercontinental or International or whatever those belts are. And now he holds the WBC International, which you'd think would put him in the top 15. But don't get me wrong, no no champion is going to be advised to take him on a voluntary because he's so difficult to look good against and difficult to beat. So he's going to have to climb those rankings and become a mandatory.
Why is Charlie Edwards ranked so highly with the British when he refused to take the fight? Why is he back to the top of the rankings?
Because
there's hardly any domestic guys at the weight.
Yeah, there's hardly anyone domestically, is there? I'm just thinking.
Ian Butcher, you've got around there, haven't you?
Yeah, Jay Harris has just moved to flyweight, but that's not going to happen.
Wait, he's literally just moved up, hasn't he? Or...
No, he's just moved down. He was a super fly. Now he's moving down to fight for the Commonwealth. I can't see that fight happening. I think Jay's like 24.
Who's the champions in that division?
Say again?
Who's the champions in that division?
What, at world level?
Casemiro.
Yeah. No, Casemiro's vacated. That's vacant now.
Did he vacate? When was that?
Quite recently, probably about a month ago.
Is he moved up, or has he just vacated it because he didn't fancy you as the next challenger?
No, he's moved up to Superfly.
So who's in that division then? Yeah.
Dave, you there?
Welsh bastard. Fucked off. What division is that? Where is it? Is it flyweight?
Yeah.
Well, who is that then?
Sorry, I'm back. Flyweight is Ruin Wrong, I suppose, is still probably about. Press pause.
He's retired. Ruin Wrong retired.
Yeah, but then he came back after the Olympics, didn't he?
No, he was done then, wasn't he?
All right, well,
said that was him done.
There's Zhu Shiming has got the WBO.
Right, so is that the division?
You got that Ioka fellow as well, didn't you?
Steve Aoki.
we could have went to see him in Vegas, but never could fucking shot it and went to a casino and blew their money instead. Anyway, that sounds like a shit division to be in.
Well, they've all moved up, and they're all at Superfly now, all the big names.
So
Ryder moved up, didn't he? Obviously, Chocolatito moved up.
Yeah, okay, right, I get you now. That sounds fucking shit. I fucking hate midgets, man. What is the point of the wee pricks? They shouldn't be allowed to fight. They're fucking circus acts, aren't they? We fucking midget bastards.
I'm no great lover of them, to be fair, but they can be in fun fights.
Yeah, they can be in fun fights, but see if you go and watch them live, who fucking wants to watch the two Waynes beat each other to death? Like, that's what it is. Yeah, let's see people that can't even fucking look over the top rope. What is the point? They aren't even humans. They're just basically fucking things. And Chocolatito is the greatest fight in the world. Aye, it may be so, but he still looks like a wee dick. Any cunt in this, even me, being fat as fuck, I could still fucking drop kick him in the face easily, absolutely fucking easily, man.
I've said, I'll take my chances with anyone up to about lightweight. If I can grip them, then I'll just sit on them, and they ain't got a chance then. But above lightweight, they probably crack me out in.
Imagine you like Chocolatito, you're a wee dick noise. I'll fucking smash your cunt in. You just built him right in the face.
Carpe, if you headbutted Chocolatito, you'd kill him.
Press pass. I don't like you, mate. So you might as well leave this call. Joey, do you want to? What else have you got, mate? Other than your little Welsh loving with Andrew Selby, what did you think of the whole card in general? I know you said you didn't watch the main event, but
I was astounded that people. John Ryder is a 50-50. Not being mean to Adam Etches, but seriously, who on earth has he ever beaten? You made a good point. You made a great point the other day when you said he's only fought like, what was it, 2 or 3 English people or British people? There's a reason for that. He's fought, if you look at his record, there's so many good numbers on his record. They're like these Brazilians and Argentinians and South Americans that have like an 18-1 record. But they never win again. They lose, they're brought over, they lose, and then you never hear of them again. It always reminds me of Tyson Fury, who was on Channel 5 years ago. Remember he fought Dan Nascimento?
Yeah. And
the guy was like 12-0, 10 knockouts, and they made out as if this was like the two rising forces at heavyweight. And and obviously he wasn't, or one of them was, and one of them wasn't. And Adam Etches' record is horrific. It's full of awful fighters. I can always remember the worst boxing match I've ever seen in my entire life was on the undercard of Rabchenko against Bradley Price in Bulgaria, and it was a Bulgarian middleweight title fight. and it was absolutely horrific. I've never watched the fight and thought I could do better, but I could do better than those two in that fight. I definitely couldn't make 11 stone, but still. These two fellas fought and it was awful. And then I Googled them and they were both on Adam Etches' record. And I'm not being nasty to him. I'm not being nasty. I'm sure he doesn't want to. He wants to fight good guys, but he's not. He's fought two good guys. And I literally had it like 10 rounds to 2 to John Ryder. I thought Ryder could have stopped him at 3 or 4 points in the fight if he stepped on the gas. But I understand why he was reserved because he was up at a new weight. And it, really didn't need to risk it in the last 3 rounds. So yeah, I thought Ryder looked good. Against Arnfield, I didn't have Ryder losing that fight at all, and I thought 118, 110 is probably one of the worst scorecards I've ever seen. But I said to you, I was sat near you on Icarpi that night, and I said I can see why he might be losing these rounds because he was just cruising. He just wasn't putting his foot on the gas, not even in spurts. And I can see, you can see that might have been down to the weight. And he's definitely not going to have any physical advantages over anyone at like British level and above at super middle because he's so short. But it obviously does benefit his actual performance and his energy levels. And I thought Ryder fought really consistently, landed a lot. It was a bit uncomfortable watching it. I thought they could have pulled Etches out and spared him a bit at the end, like from probably like the 9th round onwards. And after some of the stuff we saw in British rings last year, I was very glad that there was no actual damage done to Etches because he was fighting with one eye, for the whole second half of the fight.
I think they must have been banking on that Ryder would maybe have a lack of concentration, which he's been known for, and get clipped because Etches, he can pop a little bit. So that's maybe the reason why they kept him in longer than they should have done. But I don't want to give Ryder too much credit because Etches is shit. So it hasn't really proved anything to me other than Ryder's beat someone who's shit, if you know what I mean. They're both at the wrong weight. Etches looked terrible. Ryder looked good, but then it would be a hard push for him not to look good against Etches on that night because he was shit.
Yeah, but
so I think there's still more to prove for Ryder. If he's going to stay at 168, then he needs to be very carefully managed because even someone like Rocky Fielding would kick his cunt in because he's going to be so much bigger. So they need to manage him carefully if he's going to stay at 168 or go back down to 160. Brian, did you stream this one or are you too hardcore for this sort of fight?
Well, somebody sent me a link, so I thought I would put it on while I was fucking about, and I was talking to me around the chat and Twitter when I was watching it, and I didn't score the fight. I was drifting out runes because it was basically I've got a short attention span, especially when it comes to boxing, because boxing's shit. And I was just basically sitting watching it, and it was the same fucking round over and over and over. And I see, unless some cunts really hurt, and you're just watching the same shite, it gets boring as fuck. I mean, people will turn around and say, "Oh, it was a right good fight. It was 2 cunts getting torn in." No, it's just fucking deja vu. I could have just basically watched the first round, turned it off, went to the 12th round, and fucking done that. All this was based. Oh man, it was fucking gash, absolute shite, John. But I know we've got a couple of people in some of the chats who are fucking massive John Ryder fans, right? John Ryder seems to be a nice guy, and he's a good-looking guy, and he's got a good build, and he's probably got a big dick and everything. He sound cunt. He's sponsored by a strippers and all that, but he's shit. Right, but just so what Etches is even worse, right? And that Etches is fucking garbage. He was just basically fighting with his face, wasn't he? He was just like, as soon as Ryder would throw a punch, he was like, right, I'll header that, and when we heard like Richie Woodall, like fucking God Save the Queen, Rule Britannia, Richie Woodall, and his scorecards, I was like, am I watching the wrong fight here? Because all I seen was basically Etches being competitive but never ever winning a round. I did say, I don't know if it was Twitter or like WhatsApp. I don't even think I've gave Ryder a round here for what I was watching, even though I wasn't paying attention. He wasn't doing anywhere near as much as what Ryder was doing, which wasn't great either. But it was just a pure shitty fight. But they're the sort of fights that fucking spastic casual bastards would absolutely love, thinking it's some sort of fucking war. But neither of them have got any business being in super middleweight. Look, Ryder's a really thick type of guy. That he's got that kind of Vladimir Klitschko size about him, ain't he? Like the shape, where he's just straight up and down. There's no cover fuck all to him. He's like a big wardrobe. But they're not super middleweights. And I don't even. I know people. I can't remember who it was that says, they've moved up to super middleweight because the IBF is vacated. The IBF hasn't vacated. That's the Gales belt. The WBC has. I don't know what belt were they fighting for at the weekend.
IBF International.
It was a WBA, right?
No, IBF, 100%.
So basically, they're targeting the Gale. The Gale would absolutely fucking ruin the tournament in the same night.
Yeah,
is that what we?
Brian, those belts aren't like they might get you a world ranking, but they're way below British title. You know, in terms of like their status.
Look, mate, like Ryder won at the weekend, so that basically means that Hearn will fucking keep him going. He'll just probably take him back again, and we know Hearn's a fucking whore. He basically just thought, you know what, Ryder, we'll get you an RV tied over fight, we'll get you the rankings there, and you might end up becoming like the Gales mandatory. We know what it's all about, and I don't know what to say. The fight was fucking shit. But I'm happy that I fucking streamed it. I'm happy that somebody was streaming that and that they had like 100,000 viewers and all. I says that I think that the viewing figures will actually do better than people think, because like Britain, you know how, like, have you ever watched the film Aliens, where eventually Sigourney Weaver walks into this fucking room and she doesn't know she's walked into it, and all of a sudden she turns around and like it's just all the pods, like the aliens and all, and they've no patched it. Yeah. Well, that's like the UK with fucking casuals. Isn't it? Like the UK is just a big fucking nest of casuals. It's just the most casuals in the world. So I think it'll have done well. Fair play. If it has us, it's just absolute fucking trolling if it has done well. But I'll not be watching that fucking shite fight again. Fuck you, Scott Milligan. Fuck you, Andy Pops, and fuck you, Cy Clayton.
Press Pass, do you think? Have you got anything to add on Ryder and Etches?
No, Ryder. It's difficult when you say someone's shit. John Ryder's not shit. He's between English and British level. He'll never be any more than that. Giving him a fake belt is kind of redundant. What they're going to do, sling him in with someone who's actually world ranked and watch him lose again. He's, like I said, he seems like a nice enough guy. He won the fight. Etches, who was obviously one of Poxon's little Sheffield boys who sold a lot of tickets on his shows when he was promoting, but has never shown any kind of ability other than he can sell a few tickets. And he got obviously leveled by Kamitsky, and then he deservedly lost that fight at the weekend. I thought that Ryder looked good in parts, but he will lose whenever he steps up against someone reasonable. But that's fine, for a fight that's a couple of fights down a card. I've got no issue with it. I wouldn't mind seeing John Ryder fight again. I just think you accept what his limitations are.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right, let me come back there 2 seconds. Right, I've been a bit harsh on Ryder. Right, I had the Billy Joe Saunders fight fucking tight. I think maybe I had Ryder winning that fight to the last 2 rounds. So I can't even remember. It was really, really fucking close. I it was 7-5 to Saunders. Personally, I think that was Saunders' hardest fight. I didn't watch Saunders' last fight, right, because I don't need to put myself through that. Right, so I have actually rated Ryder. I just feel I'm just probably more disappointed that he seems to have he's regressed badly for that type fight, and it seemed as if the Hearns washed their hands on him because he lost that fight. Maybe they've matched him wrongly, or maybe because unless you stick him in with decent guys, he's maybe fighting down to his level of opposition, but he's better than this. Who is it? He shouldn't have. I think the Blackwell stoppage was a quick stoppage. He was hurting everyone, but he could have carried on. Right, so, but even at that, he shouldn't be losing to guys like Blackwell either. He shouldn't even be having to fight these people. Fair enough, it's a fight on ITV pay-per-view, but I'm probably more disappointed at the fact that I rate him more than he's actually shown. So maybe that's why I'm a bit sorry. So I'll take that back, Ryder. But you have probably got a big Bobby.
Do you still say fuck you, Andy Pops, Cy, and Scott?
Fuck Andy Pops. Andy Pops wore brown brogues down to fucking London. Brown fucking brogues.
Right, anyway, let's move on to...
No, let me fucking finish. If any people knows about brown brogues up in Scotland, they know they're the fucking shoes of Protestants. They're the shoes of the Orange Order. Staunch. Andy Pops is a Tim. Walking about there fucking suit on down there with the townies I go with fucking Essex mob. Fuck you, Charlie Sims.
Andy Pop's dressed up to go down those with OD. Simple as that.
Right. And I wore fucking shorts and t-shirt for a full week in Vegas. Boom!
Right. This wasn't the main event, but this was the highlight of the weekend. David Price.
Low light.
19 stone of pure shite. Stinking shite. He's honestly, we've seen some fucking disgraceful heavyweights turn up the last year. Brazil, Charles Martin, Molina, and David Price turned up in the worst condition of them all. Maybe not aesthetically, but everything else about him was disgusting. He gassed after the second round. Hammer didn't even hit him with anything hard, not once. But David Price, he was out on his feet, man. It's disgraceful. I've never seen anything like that before. Caldwell in the corner. I don't know what was worse corner advice from him. Him saying that he was going to gas, Hammer was going to gas first, or that fight what fight was it when Eubank Sr. got in the ring and said nothing, just looked at him. Did you not at Eubank Jr.? I mean, that's better corner advice than David Caldwell was giving that night.
Did you not enjoy when Caldwell told him to throw the left and the right? I thought, we had to get to that level of basics with him.
I did feel a bit sorry for Dave Caldwell because you can't polish a turd at the end of the day.
What was he meant to do? That I said in the chat earlier that I was going to be nice about Price in a certain way because, again, we're far too critical to absolutely slag fighters who would say, "Oh, they've done nothing." He's not a bum. He was the British champion. He beat some guys.
Fuck that. When it's all said and done, Audley's had a better career than David Price. Slaughtered him to bits.
Yeah, the problem that Price has had is that he's blamed.
He's shit.
No, yeah, he's blamed his losses obviously on what his opponents had done outside the ring with the drugs cheating. And you know what? He may well have a case with all of those. Someone's getting feedback. Mute yourself. There you go. But yeah, so you may have a case with that. But the problem was every other fight he'd had since, he'd looked bad. And it was almost as if he was expecting some miracle to happen where he was going to rock up and suddenly he would be really good again. He was so bad on Saturday. It was the first fight I watched. He didn't throw a jab. He couldn't box. He had no power in his punches. He looked knackered straight away. And what he was doing, rocking up 20 odd pounds heavier than his previous fights, God only knows. Like I said, you can't blame Caldwell for the performance, but I think the build up to the fight and the condition he was in. I know he's not his strength and conditioning coach, but he can look at his body and he can look at him physically when he's doing his actual boxing training. And he was just, it was terrible seeing him sway in the wind, and then his body leaning over the ropes. The stoppage was embarrassing, but we've seen it. We saw it against Thompson in the second fight. We've seen it as an amateur when he got put down hard. He just, as nice a guy as he is, and I do like Price. Like I said, I've got a lot of time for him when you see him on Sky and stuff. He doesn't have the chin of a heavyweight boxer. He doesn't have the desire of a heavyweight boxer. And the biggest problem he's got now is he doesn't let his hands go. He doesn't punch hard enough anymore. He's got nothing to keep. Yeah, he's scared. The reason why he doesn't throw that jab is because every time he throws that jab, he's expecting a right hand to come over the top. And he didn't make advantage of his size, all the stuff he did in his first 10 or 12 fights, which made him, people forget, he was the ESPN prospect of the year. There's been some major names on that list. And to think of it now and to think how far he's slid is just awful. And like I said, I think he should jack it in now. Christian Hammer is a fringe guy. That's it. And he didn't have a very good night. He didn't box very well at all on Saturday, I thought. He didn't need to. Price beat himself.
Well, Tyson Fury clowned him, didn't he, with one arm when he couldn't be fucked. Fair enough, he was on nandrolone for that fight, but still. Brian,
right.
David Price, what have you got to say?
My definition of a bum is a lot different from a lot of people's definition of a bum. But David Price is a fucking bum. Everybody mute yourself because I'm getting feedback. He's right. He is a bum. Well, let's get this right. Look, I'm reading into Caldwell's tweets today that he's basically turning around and he's questioning like Price's like mental capability. Like he's saying that you can have good 12 good rounds of sparring against good opposition and all that, but when it comes fight night and all that, like things change. And I'm kind of paraphrasing his tweets here, but it was like that. And the way he's making it out here is if it's all mental with him. So basically, he's like fucking, he's getting in there and he's just like too excited. He's burning loads of energy and that, or he's just mentally weak. But at the end of the day, he lost to a fucking old man, Tony Thompson, that he should have never lost to. He was meant to be this hated the Klitschko throwing his fucking Tony Bellew saves, right? And he's terrified to take a punch, so he doesn't throw his own punches himself. Like, for the first round on Saturday, he was like throwing the jab all right. It's the best I've actually seen him for like years throwing the jab, right? But after that, he just started pawing it. It's as if like he was just making sure like the guy wasn't getting inside to throw a punch back at him, which is like his downfall all the time. And all he had to do, all Hammer had to do is kind of fucking duck down a bit and like just bull rush in, and then he was right on top of David Price. I tell you one thing, see for a big guy, David Price can't fucking tie up a fighter at all. He doesn't know how to do that. It's absolutely embarrassing that for an experienced guy that was in the amateurs now, like as a pro, does not know how to fucking hold a guy. And like Hammer didn't tie up either. He was constantly working in the inside, fucking punching anything that he could get a hold of. And Price just has not got a chin. But I know they'll turn around and say that he's stamina, but at the same time, you need to question his capabilities of taking a punch as well. Any time somebody lands on him, he looks hurt. So it's not just the fact that he's got a poor gas tank; it's the fact that he can't take a punch. Now I know I absolutely tore him to shreds at the weekend, and rightly so. But this is true. Like, could you? Like, I tweeted this. Could you imagine like being in a nightclub and like he's like, you're not getting in the night. Like, what are you going to do, you big dick? And then you slag his family or something like that, and he loses the plot. All you need to do is kind of move a bit for a wee while, then he gasses out, then you just run and fucking punch him in the jaw, and he's clean out. Look at the amount of punches that Hammer hit him with. And he was leaning over the rope. At one point, it looked as if he was trying to climb out the ring. It's just so embarrassing, and this is just repetitive at every single fight. Like, we've seen it with Taper. I know Taper was just upright, but we've seen it. As soon as he gets punched once, he does not want to know. I mean, I know they turn around and say, "Oh, it's a tough sport and all that. It takes a real man to get into the ring." But at the same time, should it not really take a real man to understand that you're just no good at it, and he isn't good at it? And you might say that he beat, like, he might become the British champion, but let's look who he actually beat to become the British champion and defend the belt. So he fought some utter fucking shite, absolute shite, and we all get sucked in with the hype at the beginning. We all thought that Price looked the goods because. At the time, at the beginning, he was doing exactly what you were meant to do as a big guy, using your size, using your frame, using your length, working off the jab. He looked as if he was powerful as fuck. Even when he was getting knocked out, all we heard was from people saying that he's one of the biggest punchers in the division, regardless of if he can take a punch or not. But is he really? This is why I question a lot of people. You know how they're saying that, such and such a fighter he's a big puncher. I was like, no, he's not. If you look at his opposition, and they'll turn around and say, "Oh, it doesn't matter if you're knocking guys out." No, it does. You need to fucking take into consideration the opposition he's fighting, and he fought absolute fucking bums. He went up against Tony Thompson. Was it the first fight or the second fight that he looked as Tony Thompson was fucking clean out, and he somehow climbed up. He got up off the floor, and Price couldn't finish it, and he was gassed again, but. For what I'm reading into this Tony Thompson drugs failure, he's declared this drug not every time he's fought, but some paperwork, he didn't fill in the paperwork right or something like that. It's not as if like he was juicing, but he's actually declared this drug before. This is what I've read about last week. So I know the time saying he was a drug taker and all that. He was like juicing, but I don't know. Like, it's kind of fucking. It's a bit murky with him, but my understanding is, for what I read last week, is he has declared this drug plenty of times, and it's just he either forgot to do it or just the paperwork was wrong for him to declare it this time. But this is neither here nor there. The Taper one was a disgrace because that guy is just riddled with it. But even when he came back, before the Taper fight, you could see that he was just terrified of taking a punch. He was just so concerned with making sure the guy didn't hit him, that he wasn't throwing any punches himself. We seen his opposition in Germany; they were an absolute riot, and I don't even think Hammer's that good. It just shows you the level that he is. Whether maybe he's just absolutely shot for the losses, or maybe he was just never ever that good. And the minute he started stepping up opposition, he was exposed. But Sam's right. Orley Harrison had a far better career, amateur-wise and pro-wise. I mean, like, Orley didn't have many good wins or nothing like that. But I tell you one thing. Done what Orley Harrison done against Sprott. Absolutely fucking no danger whatsoever with David Price being able to do that. Get beat for 12 rounds. Well, David Price couldn't go 12 rounds, but even if he could, he wouldn't fucking go 12 rounds with a dislocated shoulder. Absolutely no fucking chance. So, sorry, Scousers. Your boy's a fucking bum. He's one of the biggest hype jobs I ever been in boxing. I'm not just exaggerating here. He is one of the fucking biggest waste of space hype jobs that's ever been in boxing. The amount of hype that he got, the backing that he got. Remember, like, Price was the biggest name in Liverpool. He was selling out the Echo. Without the only guy that was selling it out, the biggest name after that was Tony Bellew. He wasn't selling it out, but David Price, without fail, until he lost the second one to Tony Thompson, he was selling out that arena. So it just shows you how much like people get bought into that. But no, shite. And that's my rant. Sam.
Yeah.
Sam.
Can you hear me?
I muted you because I was getting an echo back. I'll mute myself.
All right. Dave, have you got anything to add after that impassioned rant from Brian?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I don't care when people say, "Oh, you can't like someone because they're a nice bloke," blah blah blah. I don't write David Price because he's a nice bloke. I just think he's a nice bloke. So I was a little bit gutted that it went the way it went again. What can you say? This one not been said before. The weight was obviously an issue, but I can remember people saying, including Tony Thompson, that Price was too slim for a heavyweight, and he needed just a bit more. Is that what I really sound like? That echo was awful. And he needed. Can I carry on? Okay.
Go.
And lots of people said he needed a bit more physicality. Obviously, whatever they've done to bulk him up didn't work. I think Dave Caldwell uploaded a photo last week, and he looked huge. He looked massive and in shape. But it's very difficult to carry that weight, circling a ring for 12 rounds. And I do think there is a difference between performing in the gym and performing in the ring. But surely he wasn't flying in the gym. When you see someone put in a performance like that, that's not the performance of someone who's firing on all cylinders, behind closed doors. That said, though, I don't blame Dave Caldwell, because let's look at it. David Price has had his old amateur coach. He's had the best coaches at Team GB. He had Tommy Brooks. He worked briefly with Adam Smith. Not Adam Smith, sorry, Adam Booth. And now he's with Dave Caldwell. Or, a lot of coaches who've done or are doing good things in the sport. So I think that the issues do lie with Price. It was a bit reminiscent of the second Thompson fight. He knocked Hammer down, I think, 2 rounds later than he knocked Thompson down, and he went, he got put away himself 2 rounds later. But there's a lot of questions, that we don't need to ask anymore. We know the answer. It hasn't been a fluke before. He does have stamina issues. He is getting on. It's not like, when Vladimir was found out years ago, which, I've seen everyone likes to, when something goes wrong, everyone likes to point to an example of someone who's come back from adversity. And unfortunately, fewer people come back from adversity than do come back from adversity. I've seen people make their professional debut and drop a draw to a journeyman or get upset against a journeyman. And, people console them by saying, "Oh, well, Bernard Hopkins lost his first professional fight." Things don't work like that. And for all those reasons, and the fact that every time he's lost, they've been grueling fights. For those reasons, I'd like to see Price knock it on the head. I don't think he's going to achieve anything now that he hasn't already achieved before. And he's a nice bloke. He's got a family. I assume, like Brian, he's made a couple of quid because, like Brian said, he's sold out the Echo a couple of times or came close to selling it out. I was there the night he fought Audley Harrison because Harry Miles was on the undercard, or aftercard as it turned out, and it was packed. It was heaving. There was like nearly 10,000 people in there. So I hope he's made some money from boxing, and I hope he can find something else to do with his career because his future, in my opinion, certainly shouldn't lie in the ring now. I'm sure he's got not a lot of knowledge about boxing, and hopefully he can get into training, maybe pass his knowledge on if he wants to. But, what else is there for him to do? Maybe he could go back and win the British title and defend it one more time to make 3 defences and own it outright. That'd be very touching. But the reality of it is, you look at the guys at British level, even, guys like Dillian White, who I think is a bit overrated. Even Chisora, I think is quite long in the tooth. I'd probably pick them both to beat Price. And a couple of years ago, I really couldn't imagine, picking that sort of guy to beat David Price.
Can I just say one more thing with regards to that picture that Caldwell posted about the shape that Price was in? I tweeted Caldwell and says fair play. He looks as if he's in proportion with his body. You know how he always just looked, his like torso and that just looked massive. His head looked tiny and all that. And he looked actually good in that picture. But see, on the night, again, he just looked as if like he was a bit fleshy. So I do not know when that picture was taken, or if that was some sort of fucking Photoshop, like as if they've had something done to it, it's been put through Instagram and all that, because that was not the same shape David Price at the end of the night. But nobody's actually touched on the weight that he came in at. I didn't realise the size, like 275 £. That's the size of one of the big massive wrestlers come in at in the WWE. That's fucking massive. Look, Klitschko and Joshua are absolutely shredded to fuck, and they come in at about 250 £. I mean, me myself personally, I think that's too big enough because you are carrying a big load. But Klitschko again is in proportion. He's not carrying too much muscle. He's just a big guy. Joshua, I think, there's no point getting into that, right? But 275 £. I know he's like 6'9" or something like that. But Fury doesn't even come in that weight, does he? Does Fury come in that heavy?
He came in at 260 against Hammer, and that was at his fattest and laziest.
And if you remember, lads, people were really concerned about his weight around that time as well.
Aye. Right, well...
Price was.
I just, I don't know.
Do you know, like, Price has always looked really physically imposing if you look at him front on, but he used to, like, turn to the side, and he did look really slim for a heavyweight and for someone that big. This time when he turned to the side, he didn't look fat. He just looked too full.
At Price?
Yeah, he just looked really full. It didn't look like a... it's easy for us to fucking say, isn't it? We're all fat as fuck, apart from breast pass. But Price just looked like unconditioned, like, not like a British level or even, European or whatever level championship boxer.
Right. Sam, I've muted you. You want to hang up and call back because the show's causing this echo. Just fucking hang up. Why? Die. Right. Macho, you've jumped on. We've just basically I've used everybody for that card at the weekend. Do you want to get your point of view across all these fights? Or did you even watch any of the fights?
Which ones are we talking about?
We're talking about like Eubank, Price, and John Ryder.
Yeah, no, I saw. Yeah, I watched all the fights. I had a really good stream. Have I got echo?
On you go.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, car was all right. I was pleased it was free. The David Price fight was fucking hilarious, though. You can call me a casual. So any punches in that fight, Price would have still gassed, but only a couple of just deteriorate like that, like from nothing. It just sort of 1 minute he was there, and then the next minute he was gone. But it was fairly hilarious, and I don't know what have you been talking about the Eubank fight. I don't really want to go over old Grand and just bore everyone to tears.
Just talking about that his dad shagged him when he was a boy.
fuck me. Hang on.
But where are you phoning for? You phoning for the back of fucking pants?
I'm in my car, but it's gone through to the fucking thing. Hang on, let me log off. I'll be back in a minute. What
I bet you're fucking driving a Maestro or something like that, you cheap cunt.
What are you talking about? You're such a prick. Right.
Fuck you. Right, Sam, carry on. Everybody mute themselves when he's talking.
Is it still echoing or not?
Aye, sure, it's causing me a dick.
Alright, don't worry about it. I'll catch you in a bit.
No, I'll just fucking talk.
No, because I can't. Huh?
Hard to work out who's causing the echo because I think it's coming off Ryder.
Right, everybody just fucking mute yourself when nobody's talking. Right, go Sam.
Where was we?
We'd finished the London Caird.
Oh yeah, right. Let's go on to Eubank then. I still don't know what I think of Eubank. I think he's a cunt to start with, but other than that, so he occasionally does something, and I think there is something there, and then it's followed up by a massive hook that misses, and he misses so wildly, nearly puts himself on his ass. I've seen people saying Quinlan was tougher and better than they expected, but I think the reality of it is Eubank is shitter and not as good as you thought he is, or people think he is. He's got absolutely no power at all.
He's not a super middleweight, is he?
Guys taking that many clean headshots should not be going to like the 10th round. It shouldn't happen. They're going to duck every cunt at 160 and 168. It's not a world title. They're charlatans, and I hate them both. Who wants to jump in first and talk about these fucking pair of idiots?
I'll go. Fuck me. Can't stand them. I can't. This whole circus. So we won't badge on about everything, but the whole circus of this abysmal pay-per-view construct they've put together. You know, Eubank jumping up to super middleweight for no reason at all, other than it was an obviously ability to grab a nothing fake world title, and yeah, his power didn't carry because he's not a super middleweight. And the problem with Eubank is that Eubank does lots of little things well. He's very flashy, and sometimes you can just watch him and think that was a really sharp punch, or that was a really nice move. I saw it when he's been like Duran and guys who are in Tom Doran and guys who are obviously of a lower level. He's a good fighter, but at some stage, not in the distant future, like I said, the minute he fights someone good again, he's going to get absolutely clocked. But that won't happen. They won't risk these big fights because when you've got a national TV network willing to broadcast a pay-per-view event with you as a headliner against an Australian IBO champion who no one knows, then where's the incentive to fight Golovkin? All he'll do is call out Golovkin, call out DeGale, then he'll move back down to 160, probably fight fucking John Ryder in the next one. You know, it's abysmal. And you know, the worst thing was I wasn't sure what I wanted to happen more. Either the fight to be over in a round so people could see what a joke of a mismatch it was, or for Eubank to come out of it not looking that great. And I think that's what's happened. He's come out of that fight and people have gone, yeah, he's good. He dominated the fight. He won pretty much every round, I think, apart from the first one. But he's not some monster. He's not some must-see box office television. He really isn't. And, you know, come back to me when he fights someone who actually know. And the whole circus of it all I thought was appalling, and there were that many people at the last minute that were buying it, and I saw people going, oh well, you know, the undercard's good, and it's just they're fucking laughable. I know you give me hate for me buying the one Joshua pay-per-view, but lesson was learnt then, and I think people that shelled out £10 or $12.95 depending on when they bought it, could they really felt like they got value for money? I mean, a lot of the national papers slagged it, but I think it's embarrassing. I think boxing looks embarrassing when that is the main event of a pay-per-view card. We're all complete hardcore helmets. None of us had heard of Quinlan. What does that tell you?
That was silent. They jumped off there. Somebody jumped off. Sam. I tell the Quinlan, I seen him fighting in the Golden Gloves like back in fucking 2004. Decent wee fighter. I stopped watching this fight. I I don't even know how many rounds. I don't even know if I watched one round it. It was just that I just know it was going to be shite. So what I done was I went down the state to do a shite, and I took my phone with me just so I could tweet while I was in the toilet. So I just spent 15 minutes just chilling in the bog, not watching the fight. And one of my mates was messaging me, fucking ranting about Eubank and how much he's a cunt. And I was like, I'm not even watching it. I'm doing a jobby. And then he told me he's calling out like Saunders and Golovkin, and I didn't even realise the fight was fucking over. But for what I did see it, and I'm going to be consistent here. See if I'm watching a fight. See, unless I really like the guy, I'll be by. See if it's like Frampton, and he's beating a guy and it's just the same round over and over. I would probably enjoy it. Ricky Burns, obviously, right? But see if I've got no invested interest in it, I'm going to find it shite. And that is exactly what Eubank's fights are all about. Basically, every fight other than the Saunders fight have been the exact same. It's just basically throwing loads of punches, connecting with loads, not hurting the guy, missing with loads of punches, doing Hadouken uppercuts for 20 yards away, missing the uppercuts and all. Like basically, I'm pretty sure I seen at the weekend him throwing a punch and being totally off balance again and nearly having his back to the guy, all because he's not getting his feet in the ground by throwing a punch. And that's just Eubank. Like, and I know I slag casuals, right? But I'm telling you, Britain has got the worst casuals in the fucking world. And maybe it's just because like, Britain doesn't ever have much in boxing-wise. And I know you turn around and say this is a golden period for British boxing. It's fucking not a golden period. Because see, if you look at the talent compared to what we had in the late 80s, 90s, things like that, it's fucking not a golden age. It's maybe a golden age of people holding a belt. But I mean, most people that's got a belt in the UK are absolutely fucking shite, with all things considered, right? But Eubank, man, like he's no good. Like I know they turn around and say he throws so many punches, he's so athletic, he's got power, and it just so happens that the guys that he's fighting have got these great chins, but it's not. But I didn't have the Saunders fight close. I do not know how people had this fucking fight close. I basically had Saunders winning that.
Brian, mate, does it matter that he doesn't have power? Because I haven't seen much anywhere where anyone's saying he's this massive banger. And I know the Eubanks are pricks, but is it such a big problem that he's not a banger? Everyone keeps saying that he can't punch. So what?
It does, because I don't believe he's a good enough boxer to fight fucking 12 rounds and outbox somebody. So he needs to have power.
Well, I mean, I don't think he really does, to be honest. I don't think we should label it against him because he doesn't have power. So
but just for instance, see if they went in with De Gale, I think De Gale would absolutely tear him to shreds.
I'm not sure De Gale would completely run through him, to be honest with you. De Gale would beat him, but I don't know he would bulldoze him, not like Golovkin would. I
don't mean like fucking that wise, but I mean he would embarrass him. De Gale can take power. De Gale can take a punch, man. We've seen that. Like, and De Gale's not. De Gale can punch. Like that's like De Gale. He might not have that concussive power like Golovkin, but De Gale can punch. Like we done on like Darrell, man. He nearly fucking flatlined him.
Yeah, I'm not down that. I just think that we give fighters a lot of shit for not doing things that Eubank Jr. does do. So don't get me wrong. I know he's a bit of a bellend, and I know his old man's a massive fucking danger. But like he's fit as fuck. He's dedicated. He's always coming in on weight. He's fast. He has got a decent jab. He's got a lot to work with. I think if you asked any trainer in Britain, right, would you train Eubank Jr.? I bet a lot of people would go, yeah. I don't think we should give him a load of shit just because he hasn't got power. Yeah, he's raw as fuck.
I'm not saying that, but
yeah, he throws fucking really weird, fucking shitty shots. But I do think he's a talent. Whether he like reaches his potential is unlikely. I'll tell you what I can see happening. Him and his old man eventually falling out, and it'll be over money. And I'll guarantee you, probably a few years down the line, when Eubank savvies up a little bit, probably when he gets a proper bird and he realises all the money he's missed out on, I can see them two having a falling out, and it'd be one of those things where they don't talk for years. But I do think we criticise Eubank way too harshly just because he's a Eubank.
No, it's not. It's to do with the fact that he fights bums. And he ducked for. He keeps going on about the Saunders rematch. He wasn't interested in that. He dropped his wee shitty belt because he was getting mandated to fight Danny Jacobs. Golovkin come over here to fight him, and he said he was going to fight him, and all of a sudden there's an excuse here that Eddie Hearn's ripping him off. I mean, like, Eddie Hearn's a lot of things, right? But I don't think like ripping off his fucking fighters is one of them.
Well, this,
other than Ricky Burns.
Thing is, that's the thing. No matter what Eubank does in his career, here's the simple fact that will always overshadow everything is this. He was offered Gennady Golovkin in London on a Sky box office for millions of pounds. And he walked away for it. Well, he didn't, did he? Let's be honest. He didn't walk away from it. He has no say. He was allowed to be pushed away from that fight. And I was hoping after he'd burned his bridges with Box Nation by dicking Frank about, and again, you know me, I'm not a big Frank Warren fan, but I'm with him on this. You know, I mean, they must get so exasperated trying to deal with him. And then he completely dicked Sky about and gave up that opportunity. And he then gets, this is what's so annoying about it, he's then rewarded, not just by getting to fight on Channel 5 or fight on ITV, he gets a pay-per-view. He's the face of ITV pay-per-view. And he just doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it because A, his ability isn't good enough. You know, he's not in the top 10 best UK fighters. He's not the top 10 British fighters. And taking away his ability, just the way that he has ducked and dodged and maneuvered around fights, and they've let his complete, I don't care how good Eubank was back in the day, how popular he was. The guy is either the greatest troll in history or an absolute mentalist. And the more he goes on, I'm starting to think it's the latter. There are certain things he says and he does, and I just think, did I hear that? Like, it's got to the point now where he's like Donald Trump. You start to filter out some of the crazy because you think, oh, that's just obviously the way that Eubank is. But he's absolutely mental. Like, he talks about my son would. What word did he use to describe Golovkin? He'd tear Golovkin or something like that. And I'm just thinking, based on what? You lost 8 rounds to Billy Joe Saunders. What makes you think that you would even live with Golovkin for a couple of rounds? Beating up, he's the worst thing about Eubank is he has looked impressive in parts, and you just think if he was matched properly and put in good fights, I'd love to see the Saunders rematch. I thought Saunders won the first one.
But you said if he was matched properly, so do you think he should even be entertaining Golovkin? You can't have it both ways and say, well, he's not being matched properly, but I want him to fight Golovkin.
I have no issue with him not fighting Golovkin. He's not won a world, you know. The people that should be fighting Golovkin are Billy Joe Saunders, Danny Jacobs, who is, you know, people who are proper world champions or at that level. Golovkin is that good. He's only going to be ready, or people. There's no point slinging him in with Golovkin, I don't think, right now. I think at the time there was no point slinging Kell Brook in, but Brook took the opportunity and he came out with a broken face, but a lot of money and more big fights. Eubank was in a lose-lose situation, a win-win situation with the Golovkin fight, unless he got embarrassed and knocked out in 30 seconds. If he put up a good showing, if he lasted a few rounds, people would still want to see him fight, and he's automatically now a big boy at Sky. Instead, he's gone and fought this nobody who did okay, but won a round, you know, and he never looked like winning more than the first round.
First round.
But the thing is,
what about? Go on.
They've let this happen. So the question is, what my interest is now is, what will be the next one? Will he go down to 160 where he should be, or will he be able to make a mandatory defence of a voluntary defence of his IBO title on pay-per-view again? Because ITV have shown that they don't care what the opponent is, because they let him fight someone that we didn't know.
I think he struggles at 160. He's had to strip a couple of times at the weight to make 160. So he's definitely probably better suited down there if he doesn't have the power or the size, but he struggles to make that weight. All I would say is remember when Frampton ducked Rigo, he moved up and he rightfully got a load of shit, but everyone was like, well, hang on, let's see what he does next. I think we just got to see what he does next. So I don't like pay-per-view. He's ITV pay-per-view. Let's see what he does next.
What did Frampton do next, though?
Did he fight Santa Cruz next? Was it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, that's exactly what he done.
But that's what I mean.
So if Eubank goes up and fights De Gale next, I've got no issue with him ducking Golovkin, because he obviously...
Well, let's see. He's not going to, but let's listen.
Let's get this right. But he is not a super middleweight, and he has deliberately moved out his own fucking weight comfort to get away from Golovkin, who holds 3 belts other than Billy Joe Saunders, right? This is what he's done. He has purposely moved up a division to get away from a guy that he says he wants to fight when he had the opportunity to fight in the first place. This is why Eubank gets shit. Everybody rated Eubank when he was up and coming saying, oh, this is fucking pretty cool, man. We've got a Eubank back. He's flashy as fuck. He's arrogant. Doesn't give a fuck. He seems to be pure anti-establishment. Everybody liked him because he seemed to be everything that he hated him, and that's how everybody jumped on the fucking bandwagon. But he's fighting no fucker. He even turned down Langford because he says he didn't want to kill somebody and fight this cunt that nobody's even heard of, Quinlan. But he moves up a division. And what's he going to do at super middleweight? I got like there's Ramirez, there's De Gale, Groves is going to get a belt, right? And I don't know what's going to happen in WBC.
Does anyone know anything about the IBO rankings, how they work? 'Cause I've never even looked at their website. I've got no fucking clue.
No, but apparently their rank system's probably the best out of the lot of them because they actually rank. They earned it, but who's going to be in the IBO rankings? Who's really going to be in them? But
the thing is, it's not right. It's not right. Pay-per-view shit. But at the end of the day, he has got this ITV pay-per-view platform. I don't know how many buys it did. I've read 86,000. I do think we're just going to have to wait and see what happens next. You know, I'm with you guys. You know, all the bullshit about Golovkin and moving up in weight to avoid Jacobs and pissballing about the Saunders rematch. But part of me just thinks, well, they probably weren't the right fights for him because they probably wasn't. What did he have, like 24 amateur fights? It's all the bullshit that comes with him. But what I think it does next before we absolutely cut him loose completely. That's the problem with that. The problem with that is I agree with you. The problem is when he actively doesn't take fights with the likes of Tommy Langford because he says he's way above that, and when he has performed so well against Blackwell, one thing people forget with that overshadows obviously that fight is how good Eubank fought that night. He beat Spike Sullivan very easily. Like I said, handled Duran. I can't even say his name. Tom Doran very easily. So that's where I disagree. I think he's ready now. Who else is he going to fight? He's done British. There's not a lot of options at European. So you put him in now at world level. But he will now, because he's that deluded and his dad is that much of a fucking pain in the arse, they will look at it and go, well, we've got a world title now, so we're equal to those guys that you've just mentioned. Yeah, that's the frustrating thing. He's equal to Billy Joe Saunders now because they're both world champions. That's the frustrating thing because the Gal fight technically or theoretically could be quite easy to make because although Hearn was out there in Vegas front and centre, they didn't sign a contract. I don't think. I think they just had an agreement about, you know, if he wins that fight, then they'll do the pay-per-view with Callum Smith. So theoretically, there's no reason whatsoever why the Gal and Eubank Jr. can't fight on pay-per-view on ITV, but they're not gonna because they're gonna want a 50-50 split, which, you know, the Gal's never going to give into in a million years. But that fight could theoretically happen. No, well, the Gal follows into every other person. Like I rage about in boxing. See if you just fucking back up what you talk, well, then I'm absolutely fucking fine, mate. If you move up a division and like fight, Groves is going to fight the main. He's fighting that Chudorov, right? See if you just go for top guys, then I'm absolutely fine. But no, don't talk to me as if I'm some sort of spastic, which makes the UK is. IBO is not a world fucking title, so stop telling people that. Stop putting like if you wanted a world title, you could have got three. You could have got 3 fucking world titles last September. We had some fucking bisexual fucking Zoomer, the welterweight that was prepared to take the fight, but you. The greatest fighter in the fucking world that you keep telling people refuse to take it. And like that I can't remember the guy's name. Modern Broadcast or something like that made a good point as well. His dad was fucking bad for this as well. His dad was bad for fucking chatting a lot of shit and ducking cunts all the time, man. He absolutely fucking bolted for James Toney, who was prepared to come over to Britain and fight any fucker, MD, and not one of them. Can I ask you a question? Do you think that Junior would fight Golovkin? No, I don't. So you don't think it's the old man? You think it's both of them? I'll tell you what. See if you're 27, 28 years old, being dictated to your dad, then you are a pussy. There's something massively wrong about that. And again, people just say, "Oh, his dad." He probably trusts his dad because he's got his best interest in heart, and his dad's obviously told him, "Look, promoters are all scum." And Eubank Senior has some legit points about promoters, but I just don't see his argument. He's the only fighter out of all of these massive names that have worked on the Sky pay-per-view platform. You know, some big personalities, some difficult, like David Hay, people like that, difficult people to work with, who have all gone along with it, and it's been the best system. And Eubank's come out and gone, well, that system doesn't work for us. And, you know, we want Barry McGuigan commentating because he commentated when I won a world title. I mean, his son wears the same kind of clothes, does the same front flip. I was hoping that he would use his dad's name because that's what would get him famous and noticed. If his name was Chris Smith Jr., no one would care about him. It's got him noticed, but now he's shown he's got ability. He's more than just a surname. Do your own thing. Like, you never get an idea of what he wants to do. It's just him and it's just his dad coming out and saying, well, he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He could fight Conor McGregor. He could do this. It's all utter verbal
to quote Andy Patterson, verbal diarrhea is what it is. It is abysmally bad, and that's the problem. You can't overlook that too much. I mean, it's very good to say, right, well, let's talk about him as a fighter. Okay, he's a good fighter, but the whole bullshit package around him is too hard to ignore. He doesn't deserve the platform he's on, and let's see him in a good fight now. And I think it's just a shame. I think it's a real shame that of all the fighters in Britain and all the promoters in Britain, the ITV chose to link up with Richard Poxon, who is so questionable it's unbelievable, brings nothing to the table, and they've aligned themselves up with, a fighter in Chris Eubank and his absolute nightmare dad. Think of just go on.
You say that about Poxon, but I don't mind there's two shows. Eubank aside, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure pay-per-view helped pay for that undercard, but I thought that undercard was all right. And the Robbie Davis Jr. show, if that had been Willie Lemon, as it previously was meant to be, coupled with the Jack Arnfield fight, I think that was another decent show.
But then, but they're decent in comparison to what? I mean, is it better than your standard Box Nation show or your standard Channel 5 show? Because I think comparing it with Sky is a bit of a difficult one because the budget for Sky and everything else.
It's probably better than what's on Channel 5, isn't it? What did we get on Channel 5 last time? Josh Taylor against Dave Ryan and Andrew Selby against a Filipino.
Yeah, but then you get the Davis fight, obviously they got the pull out of the opponent, but the undercard for that, that's what was, and people were going on about how great the undercard was. If that undercard was on a Sky show, not even a regular pay-per-view show, people would have gone.
But it's on ITV. You pay £40 a month for Sky Sports. You don't pay anything for ITV apart from.
Yeah, but you were paying for that on Saturday night. If that was like I said, the whole point of my argument is, I would have been a bit miffed with the opponent and I'd have slagged off the IBO. But world title belts are just becoming more and more meaningless. But if that was an ITV one, I'd have had no quibbles with that.
Undercard
on ITV4.
That wasn't any worse than the Joshua pay-per-view.
Exactly. Well, you could argue that, but it wasn't awful. But it was the fact they had the gall to try and charge people for it. And if that's the standard, then I can't imagine ITV are going to go all out to get a Golovkin or a De Gale. I just can't see them doing it. And Poxon, like you say, Poxon's the face. He's the guy with the license. But he put one of his boys on. The farce with the Galahad-Agbeko fight, again, not necessarily their fault, but still it was poor. And again, Ryder versus Etches ended up being an all right fight to watch, but this is nothing level. We're talking below British level when Ped Galahad on the card. I think the card was way overrated by a lot of people, and the main event was a joke and ended up being more competitive than it should have been.
Sorry, has anyone mentioned Galahad saying he wanted a world title fight after his fight? And Duke McKenzie Duke McKenzie was going, yeah, you deserve it. He's ready. I thought, fuck me, he's been out for like 2 years. He comes back against some cab driver from Hungary.
Boxing's a joke, man.
Fucking unbelievable.
He's the work one.
What would you have liked to have seen on that undercard? Realistically,
I think realistically, because the main event was so shit, they should have done better with it. They should have got better opponents for the guys that were on, or they should have looked. But the problem is, because they've not thought this through, because they've not picked a promoter or a trainer who's got an actual stable of fighters that they can use, where were their options in the end?
What fights did we miss on that show?
Okay, so let's ignore the fact that David Price lost. Okay, David Price fighting Hammer. Ignore the fact that he didn't win. That isn't a good fight. You can't turn around and tell me that on the face of it, before it happened, that really got you thinking that'd be a good fight. It was a case of, would Price bang him out or has he got anything left? Joseph Agbeko was a name 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. Never been the most exciting fighter to watch, fighting a drug cheat. And then Ryder and Etches, two guys who have had bad losses, knockout losses.
I know everything you're saying. But I'm saying, what should we have had instead?
With what they've got, nothing, because that's my point. They've got nothing. So they're relying on signing guys who aren't aligned to another network. So when you say about Channel 5 better, give me Eubank Blackwell over that card.
But what I don't understand. You've not said one fight that they should have put on, and you're blaming them for not signing guys who were signed to other promoters.
No, I'm blaming them for having no operation ready for a task like putting on pay-per-view shows. If they'd have given that to Frank Warren, right? If Frank Warren had been given the ITV gig, ignore that what he's on at the minute, he's gone with BT, Frank would have been able to fill that card with names and people.
So should they have turned it down then? Should they have said, you know what?
No, they shouldn't. This is my point. They are laughing because that Poxon and Eubank Sr. have been handed, the magic key. Here's a load of money from ITV. Go do it. Of course, they're not going to be bothered because they probably can't believe their luck. They can't believe that despite all the hard work from a lot of other promoters in the country, that they have been handed this, despite the fact that Poxon has not been putting shows on. He's not been doing anything. He put on a show with Etches and the other lad from Sheffield a while ago and done nothing since. He was involved with Hatton, but Hatton's the promoter, not Poxon.
Paul, let's not forget. Let's not
You
forget
really believe that? You really believe that Ricky was on the phone with the sanctioning bodies and matchmakers making fights?
Well, but he's the face that sells it.
I know.
It's not.
You just said that Hatton was the guy behind it. Do you really think?
No, I said he's the pro. Ricky, it doesn't matter. It's like when David Hay fought. David Hay didn't ring the fights. David Hay didn't make the matches for his fights at the O2, but it happened because David Hay was on it. So a lot of Sky shows and Box Nation shows are sold based on the promoters and the fact that they're pushing the show. This show was, like I said, it's just frustrating me that people are trying to defend it even now. It was shit.
Paul, let's not forget that ITV, they got their pay-per-view platform signed off, I think, about 6 months ago. So it's not as if the Eubank turned up and went, right, we want to be on pay-per-view. They had that signed off and ready to go about 6 months ago. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was a great card and it was justified, £10 was justified, but it wasn't them that went, right, we want to put us on pay-per-view. ITV were looking for a pay-per-view fight. Yeah, they were looking to launch their channel. This
is the point that I think Drew's mentioned. I'm not blaming the Eubanks because the Eubanks have had the opportunity to make a load of money fighting trash. Like, what if other promoters could get away with it, they would. It's the fact. It's exactly they do. It's ITV. ITV should never ever have approved this because I just don't think it does anything for the sport. If ITV had come in and gone, right, we're going to charge 13 quid for a fight, but do you know what? We want Eubank Saunders. We want whatever. We want an undercard with another world title. That's never going to happen, though, is it? There was nothing. But why not? Because you get that on Sky shows. You'll get that on Box Nation. Box Nation will put on a card with 3 world title fights. Or they'll
Billy Joe Saunders is not
going
to go and fight on ITV, is he?
I'm saying, but they would look to try to make the card like that, and that's just on a regular show. That undercard had nothing on it. Well matched, but well matched of nothing. If that was a regular, this is what I'm saying. If that was a regular Sky, ignore pay-per-view. That was a regular Sky show. No one would have been that impressed with the undercard.
But you can't have it both ways. We slate Sky for having names v bums, and we always say that we don't need good names. All we need is, it doesn't matter the level, we just need competitive fights at that level.
I tell you what.
And we saw, it wasn't a good fight, Ryder and Etches. And that was like 2 geezers in quicksand, but it was a competitive fight and it was okay. And
no, the trick is then you get a competitive fight at a high level because Dewey and me will go to shows up and down the country and we will watch fights that are really competitive for central area fights or southern area titles or whatever. I can get you competitive fights, but I want good ones. I want good competitive fights. I think the card overall was poor, and I think if they do
with that. I think we've got to wait and see what they do next. I think because they wasn't going to take a huge risk on their first outing on pay-per-view. I mean, I just wonder how much they spent getting walled over here. Actually, Dewey, can I ask you a question very quickly? Is Cleverly fighting Bramer next, or can you not say?
No, he is. It was in the contract. He had to sign a rematch clause, and it should be happening April 8th.
Because I just couldn't work out why Ward was here, and I was thinking, is he over on a bit of business, maybe speaking to Hearn about Cleverly, potentially, but obviously not. But that must have cost him a few quid to get him over. Sorry, Paul, carry on.
I can tell it was about 30 grand or something like that. I don't know if it's just bullshit, but somebody says he get paid maybe his expenses and that plus 30 grand. Well, fucking, it's the Buffer gets a fucking fair lad anytime he comes over there, fucking decrepit bastard. Right, but I didn't watch that Ward interview with Coogan held. I'm just not putting myself through it. I know what Ward's like. He's like political. He'll just say the right things and then he'll say the wrong things. No, look, just fucking sign the contract for a rematch. That's what I want. Nico, he's the only guy that kind of fucking drags this shit out on for ages. Look, Leo Santa Cruz Frampton. Oh, there's a fucking rematch clause in there, right? No board, get it signed, we'll go to Vegas. Fucking yeah, party on, not. What just has to make everything so fucking difficult? It's just, he's a cunt, man. Great fighter, not, but he's an absolute fucking cunt. And see if there was a god, he'd be deep, right? We didn't do a podcast last week because everybody was still fucked for like Vegas, and everybody else is too lazy as fuck to set this up and do one themselves. Obviously, I was there. It'd have been better if Cap was on, because then we could have talked some shit about like the stories that were going on in there. It make some of the people paranoid, but look at me, don't look at her, look at me. Right, so anyway, Lou Santa Cruz, Frampton. I didn't score the fight. I thought it was a really good fight. I've not watched it back. I've got it there. I've only watched like the Mikey Garcia fight. I keep watching that back because that was just minted. But the way I didn't want to score the Frampton fight, which is weird for me because I always score a fight just so I know how it goes at the end of it. But I just kind of it got to that stage where the rounds were really tough, and I was like, you know what, I might end up scoring these rounds biased because people were running about me head Santa Cruz 2-1 or 3-0 up after 3, and I was like, no, I've got Frampton up 2-1 up here. I was like. And I just got to the stage where I was like, you know what, I might be biased scoring these rounds, so I may as well just fucking sit there and watch it. It was really, really tight with these rounds. And what I noticed was when Frampton was engaging and throwing punches, it seemed as if every time Frampton was having success, Leo Santa Cruz was finishing off anytime that Frampton was throwing punches, like Leo Santa Cruz was trying to finish off with punches himself, and it looked as if Frampton just couldn't get out of the way. Like Leo Santa Cruz throwing an overhand right, and it was just kind of going over like Frampton's glove all the time, and it was just constantly connecting him. But it was a bit of tear up from time to time, so I don't know. I had it really, really close. But what I did say to Mark at the end, I was like, look, this fight's really close. I was like, but I'll tell you right now, I was like, it's a close fight, but I can't see Cal winning this. I was like, it might be something like a 7-5 fight, but it's a 7-5 fight where it's a clear 7-5. I've seen some of the scorecards on Twitter, and I feel as if like some people, right, and I'm a troll, I know I can be a butbag, but I feel as if some people's scorecards were just deliberately there to fucking noise fuckers up. And I made my point by saying, like, Santa Cruz has won this fight. There's no dispute it being a draw or like a 7-5 to Frampton. It was a 7-5 Santa Cruz. It was really, really fucking tight. It was a good fight. I hope they do it again. I'll travel for it unless I don't hear nothing for a while, and Golovkin Canelo gets made, and I'll go over for that. But how did everybody have it? You didn't have pure spazzy scorecards or no, did you?
Go on, Drew, do you want to go first? All right, well, I had it 1-1-5, 1-1-3 to Leo Santa Cruz. To be honest, I could have seen it wider to Santa Cruz than I could the draw. It was. I didn't think it was a great fight. I thought it was a tight, competitive fight. I was just surprised that Frampton's team was surprised by the way Leo Santa Cruz approached that fight. They couldn't have thought that he was just going to do exactly the same thing that he did the first time. I think it really threw him that he fought long, he fought with his jab, he fought economical with his shots. He wasn't opening up. And I've seen Shane McGuigan get a bit of stick from the Matchroom and the Sky people. It looks like they've been waiting for him to slip up so they can have a dig at him. I wasn't paying much attention to his corner instructions, but there was one round, I think it was like the 5th or 6th round, he said to Cole, look, you've got to move your feet, you've got to move in and out, dart in and out. And what I took from that, he was trying to, because you've got to make him engage so you can counter him. And Cole just walked straight out. He walked straight into a right hand. And I always thought that Cole was playing catch up in that fight. Now, he didn't offer any excuses. And I don't know if the weight had something to do with it, because was he like 140 on fight night or something? He put on a lot of weight.
I think he was at 138, which I don't think is really that much. I don't think it's really much up on him. He
just fought a bit sluggish. And after the fight, when he was saying things like, we just didn't expect him to fight that way, I found that really, really bizarre. But, he didn't make any excuses. I definitely thought Leo Santa Cruz won the fight. I thought it was really shrewdly. It was a really shrewdly thought, tactical fight from him. And what I would say is, I don't know about you guys, I don't want to see the rematch next. I don't think it now. They're one each. I think both fights were majority decision. either way, if they go on there and fight other people in the division, that fight will be massive in like next year. They don't need to do it now. That rubber match will always be there. There'll always be money in that fight. But I don't see Santa Cruz doing that in the first. Exactly the same. Wouldn't shoot even easy the next time, and that's not shitting on Cole, but you know, Santa Cruz is long, he's tall, he's awkward, and he fought a completely different fight. I was really impressed with how he fought that, to be honest with you. I don't know how Dewey had it, but that's me.
I had it 116 to we'd only ever see box on the back foot in flashes once, and that was the Mares fight. But he didn't do it for half as long. The periods weren't half as sustained as they were against Frampton. But still, in the first fight, it was quite obvious that he was too willing to engage with Frampton, and Frampton was able to counter him. So
he didn't give him those options, did he, in a rematch?
Yeah, I'd same as you. I was a little bit surprised that Frampton and his team expected Santa Cruz to be so gung ho again, or just to be so close. I think before the fight, I said on the podcast, I don't expect Santa Cruz to change his approach that much, but I expect him to throw longer punches and try to keep that distance, and he did. But I think I underestimated his ability to do that going backwards as well as forwards. Frampton, I don't know. Arrogant is a wrong word. Complacent might be the right word. I think he thought he would have a bigger effect on Santa Cruz than he did. The first fight, he was able to take Santa Cruz by surprise, and he did.
He hurt him early, didn't he, in that fight? I think that
you could see on Leo's face that he was really surprised by that. Where he had Santa Cruz's respect, and I think he went in for certainly the first 4 or 5 rounds, and he was trying to win his respect all over again, I thought, and trying to make that big dent in him, where he didn't need to do that because he'd already done it. I think he spent a little bit too long trying to make a dent in Santa Cruz, and by the time he stopped, he was a bit behind on the cards. But it's one of those. You might have got his tactics slightly wrong, but is it end of the world? No. Did he disgrace himself? No. He was still competitive. Even up until the last round. I had it a bit wider than you guys. I had a 116, 113 to Frampton. To Santa Cruz, sorry, against Frampton.
116, 113?
Yeah.
Did you have a 10-10 round?
Don't kill me, I did. I think it was... Might have been the third, and that was because there was quite literally nothing between them. Obviously, I didn't give it 8 drawn rounds like David Hay, but I had 1. So, I'll confess my sins for that. But, going forward, I would be... I understand what people are saying in terms of they wouldn't like to see an immediate third fight, but I think why not? We might have seen it twice before, but we got a chance for 2 of the best featherweights in the world. There's certainly both the top 5 or 4 or 5 featherweights in the world. We got a chance to see them fight again. If they hadn't previously fought, we'd want to see it, wouldn't we? Just because they fought twice doesn't mean I don't want to see it a third time. I've never been let down by the first 2 fights.
I just don't think we need to see it next. What my concern is with the third fight, and it might be completely irrelevant, I think exactly the same way. And what I think you'll find is that will mean Frampton won't be so keen to engage. And I wouldn't be shocked if the third fight's a bit of a stinker, where it's a bit of a real chess match, where Frampton's not on the front foot, Santa Cruz is happy to fight on the back foot and fight long, and we could get long periods of the rounds where fuck all's happening. Me personally, I would just let them go just go another direction, take another fight. And if Frampton could pick up another belt, that'll be massive again. That fight will always be there for them. I don't think they need to rush it straight away, but that's just me.
I don't think Frampton's going to be around forever though, because I know he's only had 24 fights, but he's had, if you think of what he's done, he's headlined his home arena, 4 or 5 times now. He's fought outside in his home city in front of 16,000 people. He's fought a unification fight on away soil in a big arena. He's fought in New York and Vegas. I think he's ticked a lot of boxes and he's made a lot of money. And if you looked at his bucket list before he turned pro, he's probably more than halfway there, over halfway now. And the type of fights he's had, he's not wasted time defending his European title 4 or 5 times. He didn't waste much time defending his super bantamweight titles. He fought Chris Avalos in a mandatory and Gonzalez, but it's not like he racked up 6, 7, 8 defenses. I think, you know, he's done a lot already, and I don't think he's going to be around in like 4 years' time. It's like, but if you look at, you know, other rematches in time, they very rarely fight each other consecutively, and they usually space it out, you know, over a couple of years. You think of like the obvious ones like Pacquiao, Marquez, Fraser Ali. You know, I know we had like Mickey Ward and Gatti who fought back to back, but really, you know, you seldom see a trilogy consecutively. But
I don't think Santa Cruz wants that third fight next, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, but I don't think
he's
Frampton's going to be around to have it in 3 or 4 years. I think.
Yeah, but he'll be around to have it next year.
The thing with Leo Santa Cruz, though, he fights. If he takes a Mares rematch, which I think is exactly what he's going to do. Like that last fight done about 14,000 in the Staples Centre. So there's not. Let's see if he takes a Mares rematch. That's probably a bigger fight now because a lot of people thought that was close. I had that 1-1, 6-1, 2. I didn't have that close at all. I thought fucking that's another fight that I kind of get bored watching because like it was just so one-sided. What's that? So like that's a big fight in LA for them to take. But what I'm thinking is, if they don't fight next, which I'm hoping they don't because I've got the money to go back to Vegas, but right now I'm fat as fuck and I don't want to have to go back like a big blob, right? Take an interim fight. The fought so early in the year. There's nothing to say that like Cal can't come back like April, which I don't think he will. Come back April, have a fight in Belfast. Not to say that he can't come back like maybe like August, say about August, have another fight, then fucking fight like Leo Santa Cruz like right about December. But like because they fought so early in the year, you can squeeze fucking like 4 fights in there. But I know Shane McGuigan has like this like 12 to 14 week training camp. He wants to have them like constantly fucking fit, like right. But my point of view with the fight, I didn't expect like Leo Santa Cruz to like fight the way he did, and I know Shane McGuigan got like a bit of grief there saying, "Oh, he didn't have a plan B." That's not the fucking case. But what happened was Leo Santa Cruz totally fought the total opposite of what everybody thought he was going to do. I never thought he could fight off the back foot. I didn't think he would fight by constantly working behind a jab. I really didn't think that he was capable of doing that. I just thought at some point he's just going to get into a tear up because he's a Mexican, but he didn't. He fought disciplined, and what happened? He refused to be the aggressor, so it had to be like Frampton that was doing that, and Frampton fell into that trap. He was the one that was coming forward, and that's not his style. He doesn't like doing that because he's the one that wants Leo Santa Cruz to come behind, but he didn't.
That's why the rematch will be boring. The first fight will probably be boring.
This is where I think it's different. Like I spoke to like Shane, and I spoke to Cal like the day after the fight. I tell you, Cal was gutted, right? But the person that was more gutted than fucking MD there was Shane McGuigan, man. He was devastated. I think a lot of people were giving him fucking shit for absolutely no reason. This is the first time he's had a serious loss, right? That Conrad Cummins was a robbery, right? But this is his prize asset, and he was fucking devastated over that. And
a lot of people were happy about that as well. All the Skylock were fucking pretty chuffed to pieces about that.
I know. So, but what I says to them was, I was like, a lot of people like kind of always look for a fault and like, somebody losing a fight here. I was like, but sometimes you just kind of look at it the opposite way and look at how well Leo Santa Cruz fought. Nobody thought he was going to fight that style. I was like, by the time like Cal fucking kind of tried to adjust to that, like to get a bit more smart, it was too fucking late. I was like, the fight was close enough, but like he just done that well, and I was like, instead of looking at fucking negatives all the time, I was like, just like sometimes just look how well the opponent done. I was like, I've never been a boxer. So I don't know what it's like to lose a fucking fight, right? I was like, but see, for a proper fan's point of view, see if you lose a close competitive fight, there's absolutely no shame in it. Nobody gives a fuck. All we want now is another fucking fight. All we're now doing is looking forward to your next fight. That's all it is. That's what I was saying. Like, I said to them, I was like, there's no shame in that loss. I was like, it was a close competitive fight. The first one was competitive and close as well. I was like, these are the sort of guys that you could just constantly fucking throw in a ring, and it would be the same sort of fight. But what I said, it's exactly what I said. I was like, see, because like Cal kind of peaked in the first fight, Leo Santa Cruz peaked, because I think that's Leo Santa Cruz's best performance. See, because the two of them peaked in each fight. I think their third fight would be a total leveler, where both of them, like, I know you're saying it could be a stinker because both of them know what to expect in, but I think it could be that competitive leveler, then there's just no give between the two of them.
To be honest, it
Because
doesn't matter if it's a stinker, because as long as we're seeing the two best fight each other, it doesn't really make any fucking difference to me.
but I wouldn't mind like having like an intro. I really didn't want an interim fight, but if they have like an interim fight, then I wouldn't be bored. If there's like, so I'm just a fucking. I know I say I don't want to go back to Vegas, but I'm an absolute whore. Like there's something fucking sexy about going there for a fucking fight. That MGM Grand is just an outstanding arena. There's just like I'm obviously a fucking FOMO in it, and there's just something about that arena. I don't even want to do T-Mobile or anything like that. I would have liked Mandalay Bay because it's a bit nostalgic for me for like Oscar De La Hoya and all that. I would love that, but it's just I know people's like, oh, take like the Golovkin fight to like Texas and all that. I was like, I'm not interested in events. I'm just interested. Like everyone's just in the one bit in Vegas. Like you could spend your full week in a casino and that is it. And just if you're in your boxing, it's fucking magic. So I give Leo Santa Cruz all the credit. I don't like kind of obviously I'm a fan of Frampton, right? But it's more to do with like just give the guy credit. Like I mean, he fought an absolute perfect fight. I was so surprised that he was able to fight like that, because many times do you really see a Mexican fighter fighting off a back foot? You don't. You get the odd one. You get like fucking Marquez, and you can get Barrera and Morales and that. You don't fucking always get them. Normally you've just got the big stupid dumb fucking brawlers that just absolutely want to have an absolute fucking harem.
Well, Santa Cruz paid Frampton the ultimate compliment, really. If you look at the way he fought that fight, Frampton should sit there and go, fuck me, here's a guy that done something that no cunt thought he could do. And he's obviously been in, however long his training camp was, he must have been on it to fight that way for the full 12 rounds. So he did pay Cole the ultimate compliment. And in a weird way, he should be a bit chuffed about it, I guess.
Shane did say they were confident in winning the fight because they like, if Leo Santa Cruz fights the exact same way as he done the first fight, we'll win, and we'll win more convincingly, which I expected, right? Or if he changes his style, that plays right into Cal's hands because he's going to fight a style that he's not comfortable with. And that is what they thought. But it sounded logical to everybody, but he totally changed his style and a fucking word for him, didn't it? And I think it just totally threw everybody off game. But fuck, man, it's a good fight. I hope there's an off fucking fight. Leo Santa Cruz, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. It's really, I said to him, I was like, look, it's really hard to hate that boy. I was like, he's really fucking nice. You always try to find some way to like, hate somebody, but it's no. But right, just before we finish up, I just want to kind of talk about like Mikey Garcia and Zla teaching him. Yeah, see, I get the right pronunciation now. That's probably one of the best performances I've actually seen live. I know I've seen like Floyd, I've seen Golovkin, I've seen Terence Crawford live, I've seen Ricky Burns, but for just absolute domination, like Mikey Garcia was absolute perfection. I know Shep's probably fucking want to sell into oblivion just thinking about Mikey Garcia, but I was absolutely just punch perfect. Any fucker that actually listens to me talking on a pod, and I do like a guy with a jab. It's mainly because Oscar De La Hoya was a bit obsessive with him when I was younger. But Mikey Garcia reminded me a bit with like fucking De La Hoya before he started getting into his always mad things. He was just constantly fucking throwing the jab. It was just constant. But that uppercut to set up the right hand to knock him clean out, it was devastating. Like that was the opposite side of the ring that we were at. But I thought Zla teaching him was dead. I'm not kidding on. I turned around to Mark. I was like, he's not moving. And it was like about a minute later, I was like, he's still not budged. And it was about 5 minutes. I was like, I don't know if he's dead. I was like, he's literally be fucking dead. And we were looking up at the screen, eventually sat up and all that, but he was out cold. And it was just fucking perfect. I mean, I've always liked Garcia. I really did. I think it kind of stemmed back to that. I hate Salido, and I like the fact that he fucking beat him, even though like he kind of quit job on that fight. But Mikey Garcia versus Ricky Burns at 140, man, that's basically that's basically Leonard Duran, isn't it? This day and age, it's glorious.
Is he a freeweight champion now? Well, Mickey Garcia.
Featherweight, super featherweight, and lightweight.
Yeah, I mean to carry up his power like he did that knockout was fucking frightening. I haven't seen loads of Mickey Garcia because he's been out for so long, but I expected him to win the fight, but I didn't expect a brutal knockout like that. That was fucking scary, really, really scary. And a bit like you, I was like, he's fucking dead. That geezer, he's not fucking moving. That was super impressive.
It'll take a good knockout to beat that for knockout of the year.
Go on.
Want to go, Drew?
It'll take a good.
Can you hear him?
He's fucking gone.
Right, you finish off what you're saying.
Well, that was really what I've got to say. I haven't seen enough of Marky Garcia to really talk in any great detail, to be fair. I was impressed with Josh Taylor, though. That Josh Taylor looks fucking quality. It doesn't look like a British fighter to me. I really, really like him.
Well, I know what kind of Josh got a bit of criticism, like saying, "Oh, he should be knocking these guys out here." But I spoke to Josh the next day, that fucking meet and greet, and he was it was a wee bit hard with saying. I just said to him, I was like, "Look, these are the sort of fights that you need." I was like, "You need these fucking tough fights." I was like, because there's no point just constantly knocking people out all the time. I was like, when you basically down the road, you kind of going to look back in this fight, and this is the sort of fight that fucking made you.
No, that was a really good, solid 8 rounds. The little things he does, you don't see the way he moves his feet, the way his rolls are like perfection. You don't see British fighters do that. I saw him like block a body shot with his right hand and then counter straight back with it. You just don't see British fighters do stuff like that. He's got some really, really nice moves. I thought that was a really good 8 rounds for him, and he definitely shouldn't be too hard on himself. He looks.
I said to him, I was like, you hurt that boy. It's like you punched him and he totally backed off and like as if he fell into the ropes. And he's like, and that's what he said. He's like, I hurt him a couple of times, but his recovery was rapid. He's like, he just cleared his head right away and just kept coming back at us. He's like.
The only criticism is he loaded up a bit, didn't he? And he was going for the knockout. If he probably just kept to his boxing, he might have got him out of there. But I don't think he should take any criticism.
It's only 7th fight, though.
Yeah, I know exactly.
7th fight, and basically, like, you know what it's like when you're inexperienced. That you're just going to you're expected to go and knock some out. But it's good for him. And I says to him, though, I was like, this is like fucking stuff I dreams here. Is that you're a 7th fight novice? I was like, and you're basically fighting in the MGM Grand. I was like, how do you feel about that? He's fucking the size of a kite. He's like, I can't believe it. So, I mean, it was a big occasion for him. But they're getting him back out quick as well, because that's when his next fight is, and they're saying the 24th of March. So he's out in about 7-8 weeks.
No, he looks a real talent. You can just tell by the way he puts his punches together. As I said, his feet, the way he darts in and out, his rolls, the way he blocks his shots, the way he throws his jab. He looks really good. It was a good 8 round. At the end of the day, if he goes in there and blasts like he's out in 1 round, what good's that to anyone? It's a load of shit. So no, I thought it was a good 8 rounds, and he looks fucking the bollocks. I wanted to fight Davis. I hired Davis as quick as possible. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
I asked him about Harold Davis, and he says he's a fucking idiot, man. He would fight him for nothing. He's like, they don't want that fight, and that's not going to happen. Well, I can't remember if it was him or it was like one of his team. Like, that fight's definitely not going to happen for a couple of years down the road. He's like, they're just not prepared to take that. And you know what it's like. Hearn wants everyone on his like kind of terms, and he's not going to put one of his guys in when he fine well knows that he's going to lose, unless there's something unless that's for a belt, which I asked him about Tyrone Nurse, and he's like, "You going to go for it?" He's like, "Aye." He's like, "I won the British title this year," and like O'Hara Davis will not go for that then, because
Nurse will beat Davis. Nurse will beat Davis now.
I will. Just for saying sake, like Josh won the British title, O'Hara will not go for that, because the Hearn will not be able to turn around and say, "I want options. I want options on Josh Taylor then for to make this fight." So it's not going to happen. But it's a good fight. He's going to get back out again. I think they're going to keep him busy, maybe like about 4 times this year. So it's not bad. Like, he's a talent, man. We've not really got much up here, so I know we kind of fucking like to troll and turn around and say he's like going to run riot and all that, but it's all fun and games. But I think that's it. Aye, that's it. Everybody's jumped off the podcast, so it's only been me and Macho that finished off the pod. So goodbye.
Arsenal Fan TV.
Fuck the Queen.